live right now. All right, check it out. What's up, ladies and gentlemen? Check it out. As you know, I'm interviewing candidates from all across the country. And today I actually have a candidate that's actually quite close to my heart myself because of the group that he's working with. But I'm going to let him introduce himself and we'll talk a little bit more about that. So go ahead, why don't you introduce yourself? Go ahead.
Sure. Thanks for giving me the opportunity to do an interview. My name is Robert Bobrick. I'm a candidate for New York State Senate 47, which is the west side of Manhattan for the Medical Freedom Party. The Medical Freedom Party is a new party, and we began in April of this year, and we're 6 months old. I am a retired teacher of history in the New York City Public Schools. Before that, I was an ESL teacher in Japan, and I did some teaching in China also. I have been I'm born in New York. I was born on Waverly Place in the West Village. Actually, by some coincidence, that address is in the very southern tip of this New York State Senate district,
Mm.
and the district goes up to 103rd Street. So I've lived in New York. I was born in New York. I grew up in New Rochelle, and I went to private schools for a number of years. But I've mostly been a resident of New York when I haven't been. Except for the 6 years I spent in Japan as an ESL and history teacher.
Thank you so much for that background. I really appreciate it. Yeah. I need to get another board with a mute button, but I'm just tight right now. But near my coughing. Yeah, I'm so excited about the fact that you're running with the Medical Freedom Party. A lot of cats talk about starting a third party, all this other thing, right? Yeah. But they're really not able to get it done. But you guys just, I actually went to some of the meetings. You guys just had a couple of meetings, bam, threw it together. I was like, wow, these people really get the job done quick. I like that. You know what I mean? Do you guys have some kind of bylaws you guys set up and all that other kind of thing? Or you guys just kind of like
Well,
threw it
I'm
together?
glad. Yeah, I'm glad giving me a chance to explain. It's not a mystery secret formula. However, we are the political arm of the Medical Freedom Alliance. The Medical Freedom Alliance is our parent organization, and it has been very proactive in spreading the word about medical freedom. But as we saw the political situation develop, one of our members in particular thought that would be the right moment and the necessary thing to do is to get our own people elected into office. We didn't see that the Republicans or the Democrats, particularly the Democrats, were supporting or really advocating for medical freedom. So in April, right after Easter, we actually formed a Medical Freedom Party. It doesn't have a particular set of bylaws, but it's a shared consensual outlook on the importance of medical freedom and the need to promote this in society and be actually effective in turning around the kind of things that have happened to take away our freedoms, not only medical freedom, but other freedoms.
Just so you know, I'm
So,
actually deeply involved with third party movements. I've been
mhm,
at part of the Green Party for over 20 years. Right now, I'm engaged in the Democrat Party trying to take over the county committee to give you guys fair elections. We're going to talk about that later.
sure.
But the thing is that, right, not that I feel a little dirty being a Democrat, honestly, but it is what it is. You know what I mean? I'm a big fan of third party movements and all this other kind of thing. What are you guys using? Like Nation Builder, or you guys like have your own, like just doing it by hand, your own like little team, or right? You guys were able to do the paperwork, which needs an emblem and all this other crazy stuff to, they actually, Lee Zeldin, I heard that some of his people got like ballot petitions thrown out and stuff. You guys were able to get on the ballot very, very, or able to get like, petitions done. Very impressive, right? You guys had people,
Yes.
yeah. Where does this
let
come
me
from?
talk about
Yeah, please.
let me
I
talk
want to learn. Yeah, please go ahead.
yeah. So you want to know the secret? Blood,
Yeah.
sweat, and tears, hard work. We we did. We're great petitioners. We really, and it's not that hard, as we found out, but it is a lot of work. We
I,
started petitioning, and we doggedly pursued it. I actually jumped in rather late, so I was playing catch up the whole time to try to get as many signatures as would be required to get on the ballot. So what we did is we found out we went to people and said, we want to get on the ballot. It's time. We want you to have an opportunity to hear another point of view. We are for medical freedom. We're trying to form an anti-mandate party. We stressed the basics of our point of view. We didn't want to get into too many arguments with people, but we appealed to the voters to put us on the ballot so they could get another point of view. And we found out that New Yorkers, and I'm talking about people in the voters in Queens, Brooklyn, and Manhattan mainly, they were very interested in seeing something happen. So they signed our petitions. We were out in all kinds of weather and all kinds of hours, and we encouraged each other. We helped each other, and we amazingly, nobody was more shocked than we were when we actually had found out that we had 8 people on the ballot for the November 8th election.
Congratulations. Yeah, that's
Yeah,
amazing. I
thank you.
like that. Yeah.
It was a lot of fun too, in many ways. It was inspiring to talk to people and see how much their minds were open when we thought initially that they would be closed, and we found out that a lot of people have open
So you
minds.
just read all the paperwork and figured out how to do it on your first time? A lot of people, screw up the first time they submit the paperwork. You guys figured that by yourselves, or you guys had, because actually, just so you know, you see this over here that says Rep My Block? Yeah? I'm actually involved
Yeah,
with the program. We collect voter data, you know what I mean? And we can make that available to you. We make that available to everybody, right? You can find all the people that voted before because it's available via FOIA request. So you can find the people that voted before, and you could do public events, which is
right.
cool, but maybe 10% of them will vote. You can actually go door to door and talk to people that actually vote and be like, hey, I want you to know I'm running, and these are the things I stand for, and I want to have a conversation. And, that might be a way to win. You know what I mean?
Yeah, we are do some of us are doing that. I am in Manhattan. I don't do much door to door, except try to drop off flyers in some of the apartment buildings where I'm allowed in. But we did have some help from people who had previous experience in running campaigns in the Republican Party or the Green Party. We're a diverse
Interesting.
group. We are not right or left, as we're deliberately not right or left. And we did have some help from people who had previous experience, who had run in previous campaigns. So we did have help with some of the technical things, and we were always asking, "What do we do? What do we do?" And we had some, you might say, expert advice of people who are really also grassroots people, but who had experience in the Republican and sometimes in the Green Party.
Well, Rep My Block is a way to access the Democrats and send information, right? Yeah? They have the big
Yeah,
numbers, you know what I mean? And you need to be able to pull them over. A lot of people that are registered Democrats do it for who knows what reason, you know what I mean? But that changes all the time. So it's a moving target, yeah, but I wish you guys the best of luck. So I'm gonna ask some
thank
questions
you.
about yourself, yeah. So the thing is that a lot of people have the different positions, and that's cool, you know what I mean? But out of all the things that you've done, right, that are like relevant towards governance, what would you say you're most proud of accomplishing?
Well, it's something that I've done recently. About a year ago, there's a charter school. Well, let me back up a little bit from that. About a year ago, as part of the Medical Freedom Alliance, which is based in New York and which meets every week in person at the Met Club on East 83rd Street, we started outreach to the schools. It was the the idea was that people were being hammered by these mandates. They were being compelled or thought they would have to take the vaccines and wear masks and all these restrictions, which we were pretty sure were not so necessary and not so effective in stopping any pandemic. So we started to outreach to the public schools. We would meet because we knew there was a bill in the assembly which would mandate vaccines for all school children. And we thought, based on what we knew about the nature of these vaccines, the effectiveness of the vaccines, and the possible harm they could cause in some cases, or just the fact that people might not want to be told to do what the Board of Education or the Department of Education or the city wanted them to do, we went out to these parents at public schools and we began to sign them up for more information about medical freedom. And we got a tremendous response. We had hundreds of signatures within the space of a few months. We would go to the public schools, the early grades, because this was the demographic that the city and the Department of Health were targeting for vaccines. We knew that children were not affected by the COVID-19, as it is called, very much at all. So we said this is terrible, and a lot of parents, agreed with us about that, and they decided to.
Yeah, I've actually seen your work. I've seen a lot of marches and stuff as well. I got
Uh,
the Medical Freedom Party a lot of props. They're not really covered by the press, but here in New York City, I run with these people. They're a lot of fun. They're cool to hang with. I'm sure we'll be hanging out at an event soon. Now, I also want to ask you, right, some other questions that go on about just maybe about your personal politics since you are running for office, right? Some people they
right.
put themselves into different like lines. They'll say like, "Oh, I'm a socialist. I'm a Republican, right? Whatever, right? I know you're Medical Freedom Party line, you're not right or left, or that's the party stance. But what about you yourself? Some people say they're a New Deal Democrat or whatever, right? They're a conservative. Well, what would you say?
Yeah.
Would you have any particular? How can people understand you politically?
Uh, can I just back up 1 second before I get to that?
Absolutely.
Because I didn't get to finish. I was maybe too lengthy in my introduction to you asked about the accomplishment. Eventually, and I'll summarize it as quickly as possible. Eventually, we targeted a charter school network known as the Success Academy, which is Success Academy Charter School Network, which is the largest charter school network in New York City. And we decided instead of focusing on the public schools, we would focus primarily on them. So all the activists who were involved in going to the public schools, we transferred our attention to Success Academy. And to make a long story short, after a 6-month campaign in which we got over 1,200 signatures from just this small charter network, the Success Academy charter schools lifted their vaccine and testing mandates for the coming year. So it was covered in the New York Post, but in the digital edition, but it was actually the only case I know of where the mandates were actually defeated. And we did it as the Medical Freedom Party. And I'm very proud of the fact that I was the coordinator of that effort and was out every day for several months after school to talk to parents. But to get back to your question,
my partner is actually working on a homeschooling app. But yeah, that's great news for parents that want that choice to still remain available to send their children to a school environment. They can actually have charter schools. Wow. That's amazing. That's cool, man.
Okay.
Good job. I like that. Yeah. Okay,
Thank you. Thank you.
Back to the question, right? Because I do actually ask all the candidates the same series of questions. So, yeah, the question was, do you have like certain ideology or certain like label reference frame? How can people understand your politics? Left, right, whatever.
Well, I grew up in a liberal, you might say, left left-leaning family in some respects. It was also a too. But in at least the liberal, and sometimes left-leaning family. So I was exposed to a lot of that, and in college I got involved in the anti-war movement at Columbia University, and since then I after that after it the movement turned towards extreme leftism and terrorism, I said, whoa, maybe I ought to maybe I ought to get away from this. And I began to look at the other side of the spectrum. So I sort of veered to the right, but I still retain a lot of the respect for the activism that is associated with the left. So as my brother noted, he, from his point of view, but not seeing it exactly from the inside, the way I saw it, he sees me as varying from one part of the spectrum to the other, but I see a little bit more consistency in my behavior.
Good to know. I have actually a series of partners that I'd like to ask about their issues first. So I'm going to cover some issues right quick. Appreciate your answers to these. Would you support the freedom of Julian Assange?
Yes, I remember I am not, I've not been closely involved in his situation, but yes, from everything that I know, he's a hero for promoting information on what's going on behind the scenes.
Oh,
So yes, I would. I think it's a
a
legal thing too. So I'm for. My father was a lawyer. I have a lot of respect for the legal process. So there are some questions about his the legality, perhaps. I mean, I would like to see the legal issues also addressed. I think there are some, but I'm not, as I said, I'm not 100% familiar with every aspect of the case. But I think he deserves a fair hearing.
Would you
Certainly.
support UBI?
Well, I have a certain history with UBI because I didn't disclose this before. I worked on the Andrew Yang campaign, and I'm not
Interesting.
what I.
Did you ever see me? Are you aware of any of my work? No?
Pardon me?
Are you aware of any of my work?
No,
No.
not
Okay.
that I know of.
Interesting.
I know.
Okay. We'll talk about that later. It's
Okay.
okay.
Yeah.
All right,
So,
fam. If you watch my show, you know what's about to happen. So that's gonna be a fun one. That'll be after this interview. We're gonna pop some stuff. Oh man, it's gonna be crazy. All right, go ahead. I'm sorry. Okay.
okay.
You
All
still
right.
talk to Andrew Yang?
Well,
Your Columbia
my
professor, you would talk.
understanding of UBI was based. Pardon me.
Oh, I'm sorry. You said you're a professor at Columbia.
Okay.
No, no.
UBI. I'm not.
You came from Columbia, right?
Go
I'm
ahead.
sorry. Go ahead. I'm sorry. So we're talking about the UBI. So you do support
Yeah.
UBI? Sounds like.
What?
Support
No,
UBI.
in general, I don't support it now because
Interesting.
I think it's being used before I was in support of it when I worked on the Andrew Yang campaign, because at that point the economy was functioning. I saw UBI as not as a solution, but as kind of a supplemental idea to a functioning economy, a functioning, if you want, free market economy. So in that sense, I saw a certain validity in it, but I don't see a validity so much in it if an economy is not functioning and prospering and most people are being employed. I saw it as a supplement to a full employment economy for people who, you know, were not able to participate in that fully or needed to get into it.
Yeah, that's fair.
So
Okay.
I did a lot of research on the 30s and the ideas to ending the Depression. And I studied a lot about the Townsend Plan, which was a form of UBI that was supposed to happen for seniors. And a lot of people supported that in the 1930s. It was one of the three or four big movements outside of the Republican and Democratic parties, which sought to address the issues of depression. So yeah, I'm not a UBI person
There's a lot of different visions
at
with
this
it, so
point.
that's fine. And I mean that's cool. So okay, let me actually okay, yeah, get rid of that one. Okay, so the thing is that another group that I work with is people who are disabled. And the thing is that right now, people with if we look at a minimum wage, it's kind of like a subsistence wage, right? It's like we think of like a certain minimal standard of living. And the thing is that people with disabilities are allowed to be paid sub minimum wage. Now, I understand that there might be concerns regarding their productivity, and the thing is that maybe we could make it with federal subsidies or something like that. But could we at least assure these people somehow, one way or the other, right? People with disabilities could get at least minimum wage. What did you think about that? Or would you down support that?
Well, I remember you talked to the other uh, people we've had interviewed about this, and I should have gone perhaps and looked up, gotten more information. I think people with disabilities should be paid fairly. A minimum. The question is a minimum wage at least, and sure, I'd be in favor of subsidies if there was a gap there between what they're getting paid and what the work that they're doing. I remember I was flyering out on the West Side with two colleagues, and we stopped into a Chinese restaurant, and there was a woman there in a wheelchair who was working. I didn't actually find out what her job was, but she was a younger woman, fairly young, African American, and she was overhearing our conversation about family and about our campaign and so forth. And I think of her. I would definitely want to support a person like that.
Who did you hang out with in the Yang campaign?
Everybody. I was out there petitioning for him, and uh,
Bolton,
uh, uh,
Chang, Jules. Was what? Remember those people?
yes, I remember some of them.
Yeah.
But I'll tell you, I was very disappointed. I met one of them after while I was after the pandemic and everything came in, and I asked, and uh, I was disappointed that the Yang campaign didn't address the some of the issues, the freedom and lack of and uh,
He used to speak out on stuff, didn't he?
um,
But then he stopped.
the the taking away of our civil rights. And that's to me, economics without the freedom, it's inconsistent. It's almost meaningless. I know that there is a side of life that is material, but the side of life that is spiritual, that links up with freedom of conscience. Part of my family was left wing, as I said. Another part was uh, religious, or my uh, grandfather was a minister, and his father was a minister. And I have some of that freedom of conscience in me is a big part of my background. If I can exercise it, I'm you know I need to hope for the courage to do that.
So the thing is that you actually probably remember this question as well too. We are talking about the trans community, and the thing is that you know, people who are trans face a lot of discrimination in their lives. They end up poor. They find it hard to find a job, and a lot of times they find themselves needing public housing. So I'm painting a little picture for you, right? Yeah, and tell me what you think about this. Let's suppose, just making this number up, that 10% of the trans people applying for public housing, right, are trans, or they self-identify as trans, which is its own thing right there, right? But anyways, 10% of people applying for public housing are trans, but when we actually look at the number of people in public housing, we see that only like 1% in public housing are actually trans. So what's going on? So we contact the trans people that are actually in public housing. We'll say, why do you think there's this disparity? And they say, we're getting discriminated against, and getting beat up out here. It's hard to tell whether it's because we're in public housing or not, but we just don't feel safe, whatever, right? Yeah, there's other reasons too, right? The press has their own ideas, other people saying other things. How are you gonna, right? What? How can you assure these people that there's no law against trans people, saying you can discriminate against them, but they still face this unfairness, right? How could you help these people out? Like get fair access to like public, they pay taxes too, right? So how can you help them get fair access?
Well, everything does in some way, or most things, if not everything, uh, you know, uh, circles back in medical freedom in some way. I mean, they're a trans person, uh, and we have civil rights laws. We should take them seriously. The Civil Rights Act of 1964 barred discrimination in all kinds of categories, and we have the laws on the books. We shouldn't, and I don't think people in general are. Uh, uh, I would hope that people in general, I don't think they are necessarily opposed to or discriminating against trans people. I think what some people might be concerned with is trying to, propagate trans as to more and more people. In other words, get recruits for trans and convince underage people under the age of 18 or 21 or whatever, who are not fully, you know, developed mentally or physically to transition into the trans lifestyle. I don't specifically know what's going on in the public housing, if that's a special case of discrimination, but there are a certain number of people who want to transition into another sex if they're adults and they feel that that's appropriate for them. That's their freedom to do so, and that's what I think should be uh, accepted. I think they should be accepted, of course.
Okay, all right. Some people have taken look at that question as maybe question on quotas, right? Yeah, like using numbers to like try to like adjust them and stuff. How do you feel about quotas as a solution? You feel like it's something that is something is sometimes you use it or some basically stay away from them. How do you feel about that? You saw like in the question there's like these numbers involved, right?
The number, what are you,
Remember I was like
you mean,
10% of the people applying for housing are trans, but only 1% are actually in the housing are trans. So, right, there's like
yeah,
this
I
kind
don't
of
know.
like
Where does that
measuring
figure,
quotas
where
type,
is that?
right? Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know that figure. I'd have to,
No, that's made
that
up.
seems
That's
like a
made up.
very,
It's deliberately made up. I was just saying
oh, it's made up.
those are
Okay.
fake numbers, right? But how do you feel about like using numbers like that, right? Yeah, to try to develop solutions, or right, or are you more like some things are more principle, or you know what I mean? Like how do you how do you feel about quote? It's almost like
Oh,
a
yeah.
quotas
Now
type
I
number,
get your
right? Yeah,
question. I'm sorry.
10%, 1%. Some people resist the idea of
Oh, okay.
quotas. In fact,
Okay.
it's very unpopular. I've done many
Yeah.
interviews with this. I'd say almost all the candidates. Look, I'd probably taint the waters telling you this, right? But almost everybody says they don't go for the quotas. I haven't seen anybody say they go for the quotas, right?
Yeah.
But it's just an interesting take, right? So we'll just proceed to the next one.
Okay.
Have you heard about something called right to repair? Right to repair?
The phrase sounds familiar.
Okay. So check it out, right? The thing is
Well,
that a lot of people have like this thing called the iPhone. And the iPhone, what happens is you can't open the case and change the battery. So after a couple of years, the battery runs down, right? It gets slower. Maybe 4 or 5 years, right? The battery's dead, and you really can't replace it. By that time, the phone's defunct anyways, right? Yeah. But they really kind of make these phones so that so they just keep like preventing what we can do, like to try to like sell more machines. Now this is how far they've gone. Let's suppose you crack your screen, right? Yeah, on your phone. If you
hmm
try to replace it, the screen is locked to your actual device. So if you try to change the screen, the next screen won't work because they just prevent it from working. So you have to buy a new one.
I've heard of this problem, but I have not. It sounds weird to me, like one
Yeah, you
of
have
these
based off
weird,
against it.
you know, kinks in the coming down through the one of these situations with tech that is kind of overwhelming us. I think a lot of people in the Medical Freedom Alliance are very concerned about 5G, for example. I think that's a big issue, radiation and how it's affecting the health of people and so on. I have only looked into it to a certain extent, but I know a lot of people take it very seriously. So, and I think there should be more discussion of those major kinds of things, and also, the fact that we're seems to be driving us. A long time ago, there was a romantic poet by the name of Wordsworth. I think he said in one of his poems, it's often quoted, things are in the saddle and drive mankind, whereas mankind, or as if you want to be more politically correct, humankind, people say people should be in control of the technology, not technology in control of them.
I understand. That makes sense. Yeah. Okay.
And in control of their lives.
So you're running right now for state assembly, or are you running for federal office?
No, it's New York State Assembly.
That's good. That's a great place to start, by the way.
No, I'm sorry. I'm getting a little excited here. New York State Senate.
Okay.
It's
Senate.
New York
That's even
State
better.
Senate
Yeah.
47. It's the west side. It's a much bigger area, larger area than the assembly district. So it's a big big mouthful, or a big I bit off a big piece, for a first time candidate.
Yeah. Yeah, that's good though. That's a good place to start. I mean, it's not like, federal office is much harder, but the state office is cheap.
Oh, sure. Yeah. In fact, I want to go down from here. Maybe if I if I don't win, I'll go down maybe to a smaller area, like city council.
Yeah, we'll see. We'll see what happens. Yeah. That's cool, man. The city council races are coming up. Will help you continue to run for those positions, which would be great. So, okay, so now the thing is, I'm going to ask you some questions about the, you know, I know you said you're anti-war, so I know this military stuff's going on. It's not really the purview of the United States, but how do you feel about this whole war situation?
Well, I think it's very dangerous. I think it shouldn't have happened. I think our country has always tried to be, in principle, a peacemaker. Roosevelt, way back then, although he was somewhat of an imperialist, as to some people, and perhaps in fact, he mediated the settlement between the Russian Empire and the Japanese War. In many recently, we've been on a more of a militaristic bent trend, and that's very disturbing, because I think that goes back at least to, and some people would claim much earlier, to Eisenhower's warning of the military-industrial complex, and it seems to be like a runaway train for us.
Like, we get to put NATO up right next to Russia's border. You know what I mean? That's very authoritarian.
Yeah.
We have to do what we
right.
say.
I don't think it had to happen. I think it's a failure of diplomacy that we did not bring these sides together. There are legitimate differences between the Ukrainians and the Russians. I experienced them. I had a Ukrainian colleague when I was a high school teacher, and I was astounded at his disdain for Russians, and his epithets that he used against the Russians. And from the outside, I always thought they were like, very close.
I met some Ukrainians that would just tell people they were Russians just because they said Americans don't know the difference.
Yes.
You heard that too?
Right. Yes. There is a difference. Part of Ukrainian, as we know, is the eastern part is very Russian, and so it's a long history of interactions between Russians and Ukrainians, and a lot of history gets involved with that, the conflicts, and a lot of things happened, and so we are outside that. Even though we have Russian Americans and Ukrainian Americans, we should have been more active in brokering, trying to prevent some kind of the conflict that has been going on actually since 2014. And so it's a tremendous step into the abyss if we continue to foster this conflict, a danger of going into the abyss of nuclear war. So we have to change, get that policy changed as soon as possible.
There's some other issues that I work on as well. Just trying to think of what would be like as terms like statewide. So some of them are like disability issues. Some of them might be like economic reform issues. Are there any other issues besides medical like freedom stuff that you have your sights on to like maybe if you did get elected that you would start like examining?
Yes, I'm going to be if I'm elected, I'll be on a learning curve, but I have I'm looking forward to that because I like to get into the facts and figures of different issues. One issue that concerns me, and it's actually on my leaflet that I've been distributing in the thousands around the West Side. Can I hold it up and show it?
Absolutely.
Okay. Actually, my leaflet is in three languages: English, Chinese, and Spanish. And I have a draft of a leaflet in Hebrew because there are people in my district on the Upper West Side who I believe know both English and Hebrew, but I wanted to give a bow to them and have a leaflet in their language too. The point, one of the main priorities on my leaflet is the next to the last one, which, if I may read it, it says, foster mental health and city pride by preserving neighborhoods, enhancing infrastructure, and curbing overdevelopment, such as the Vornado Penn District 10 Towers land grab. And what I'm talking about here is what I find concerns a lot of New Yorkers these days is that they see these towers going up everywhere and they see people being driven out of their neighborhoods into
the Penn Station deal. That's a big one going on.
Yes, a big
man.
Right. And
about
right next to me here in Penn South. I live in a couple of blocks away, and I know a lot of people who are going to be dispossessed by some of the people who are going to be dispossessed. I think it's in the thousands by this development, as well as a lot of small businesses. So
there's a guy named Steve, not the Steve from the Medical Freedom Party, but there's a guy from the Penn Station area. He's actually having an event with some actually artists from these bands, and you should go there. I'll send you the information. Yeah.
Okay. Yes, I like that. I know who you're talking about. I think. Yes.
Oh, yeah. The musician guy said at church.
Yeah.
It's like this weekend or something. I need to go. I might even go there for real.
Yeah. It's. Can I mention his name as Stevie Marshall?
Yeah,
Stevie
that's
Marshall.
the one. That's the one. Yeah. Steve Marshall. What's up, bro?
Yeah. I've met him. I've talked to him. I've been to his venue, which is called Stitch.
Yeah,
it's on West 37th Street.
There you go. So you know the whole
it's right
thing.
outside.
Yeah. When is that? That's gonna be
it's
weekend.
Yeah, it's on the 28th or something like that. I did get something.
Yeah, I'll look it up. Look out for that. Steve Marshall, look it up. Yeah.
Maybe I'll see you there.
Stitch and stuff, maybe.
Yeah. Yeah, it's a good band. He has a lot of it's exciting.
Wait, were you at that meeting with Carolyn Maloney?
I was not at the meeting. No.
Carolyn Maloney? No. Okay, all right.
No, but it was too bad that she lost because she had she had some more of an interest in this than the who'd she lose to?
They could elect you, and then or they could go. Is your opponent going for developers? Probably.
Yeah. She was. She did stand up to some extent, but I don't think because the Democrats are people running in the Democratic Party are very much tied to their machine, and they have some of them have gone only, they've gone in the direction of questioning this development at the Penn Station, but they haven't shown up at the rallies, and we need them.
You know what?
People like Eric Botcher and
That's why we're trying to take
Brad
over county
Holman,
committee.
whom I'm running against.
Because then,
Pardon?
if we take over county committee, we're trying to take over county committee. Once we do
Yeah.
that, we can control the elections. You know what I mean? If you
Right,
trust them who
yeah.
are running the elections to actually be doing like what
Because
they're supposed to be doing,
they help select the people. They select
yeah,
the. That's right. We have
absolutely,
to start.
absolutely. So that's
Yeah,
why
we.
I'm trying to mobilize a whole bunch of people right now during Rep My Block to storm in and take over the county committee, so we can actually control the election process and make sure that everything's fair. And just, I just have this shit open. You know what I mean? I don't trust none of the
Yeah.
bullshit.
Yeah, yeah. That's our. That's we don't trust the Republican machine. In fact, they are not being very cooperative with us and getting us more. They're not supporting us for the most part, and of course the Democrats are more interested in retaining their total control in New York State. So definitely not getting any support from them, even though privately some of them are somewhat sympathetic, but as Democrats, they're not able to function autonomously, I don't think, at this point. It's a tough situation.
Yeah.
But I think people voting for medical freedom, we actually have a plan, the Medical Freedom Party, to run candidates in as many other offices as we can get, as many other city council, for example. We would like to run a lot of city council people next year, because we know this problems that we're having with the one party rule, or we call it uniparty because it involves a lot of Republicans cooperating with it. The uniparty system that we have developed in New York is such that we need to run in every city council district, if we can, with a Medical Freedom Party candidate. And that's something that's going to keep me busy if unless I'm in Albany, and if I'm in Albany, I can support it from Albany. Hopefully, and so we'll see what happens in November. I'm looking forward to see what kind of turnout the Medical Freedom Party gets. I think we should get, from what I'm hearing on the street, we're getting a lot of people are very much interested in seeing us succeed.
That's cool, man. What about another issue that's been coming up recently is criminal justice reform. And I want to give a quick shout out to my boy Nolan Farrell and also Keith Ganson, the two men that were prison 10 and 32 years respectively with proof of their innocence. Like that's so like there's a lot of different things going on. Right? People say crime's going up, or what's your take on criminal justice reform?
Well, do you remember that African American woman, disabled woman that I said we encountered on the Upper West Side when we were stopped for a break at a Chinese restaurant, a small Chinese restaurant?
Okay.
She was listening to us, and we actually, this is a hot topic among us, about the crime situation. I think that, it's not, I'm not sure that we have this crime wave as it's being presented. I think it's being used as a talking point, and there probably is an increase in crime, but because of the result of the way the economy was not doing very well before the pandemic, or plandemic, as we call it, the quality of life, the economic situation of many people has declined, and it would be understandable that there would be some kind of uptick in crime. But I don't like to emphasize that as the major issue, because I think it's the underlying issues that need to be addressed, of getting back our freedoms, our right to travel, All right. I mean, you think of all the things that we've lost or partially lost, and are now coming back in a very partial way, but not fully, and the threat of further uh, lockdowns or restrictions curbing the development of the city, or the we need a renaissance, really, not just development, but the coming back of the city. Uh, so uh, these these questions are really more important than the fact that there are more people maybe committing uh, petty crime. It is a big problem. I don't deny that, especially but I think the causes need to be addressed, and it's not brute force is not the answer to this situation. I I believe that all New Yorkers, and this is my opinion, went through a lot. And I think we all need to work together during the last couple of years. And I think we need to avoid issues that would divide us. And I have a little beef with some of the Republicans who think that because people perceive, and in some cases true, that there's crime, that the answer is just, stronger anti-crime measures. Um, the bail reform, is taken up as a major issue. I definitely think that that judges should have discretion if they to keep somebody locked up if they're dangerous. But on the other hand, there are many people who are not dangerous and should not be penalized with excessive bail either.
What about economic reforms?
About what?
What about
I'm
economic
sorry.
reforms? Economic reforms, or do you have any plans for economic reforms, or any interest in that particular?
Well, no, yeah. In general, I would say that we're with the restoration of our medical freedoms, our freedoms of speech, of assembly, and so on. This was be a boon for the only thing I can speak to as a from my particular experience of living in New York now is that we need to uh, stimulate and encourage the growth of small business, which would everybody always speaks about small business being the main employer of the people of workers in the United States and in the economy. And I'm going around all over the West Side. Uh, I am just appalled at the number of empty stores uh, uh, that have not been filled up again. Empty places that were once occupied by small businesses. It's just something that I've never seen before in all the time I've lived in the city. That there's it's like devastation of small businesses, and that's I think that there should be some subsidy of people who want to continue their small businesses and come back to the city because a lot have left. And again, I think it's the freedom to associate, the freedom of speech to talk about these issues, the medical freedom to be free from fear, which was which needs to be that needs to be addressed first. And if we get independent people in, such as medical freedom party candidates in particular, I think this discussion will spread. And this country has a long history of solving problems. And once we have the freedom to talk, to associate, uh, to participate in the political system, uh, then we can work together with the parties involved. And this means real estate people and small business people and different communities all working together.
Give me a second. I'm gonna see if I can bring something up on this browser. Hold on a second, okay? Got my Scarface.
Okay.
I just went on the screen. I'm actually gonna share my screen for a second. Don't never mind the Scarface that just happens to be up there. I was listening to the music. It was pretty good. Okay, so let me share the screen.
Okay.
Okay. The thing is that right now I want to talk about the Medical Freedom Party, right? Give them a shout right now. Do they actually have like a website?
Yes, the Medical Freedom Party has. I have to say, it's a beautiful website.
Let's go take a
I've
look, man. Where is it?
okay, you got it. Oh,
Uh,
it's medicalfreedomparty.com.
Okay. Well, let's
Uh,
see who's running.
and yeah, so
Fill out the other
that's
members. You see my screen right there?
there
Wait,
you
wait, wait.
are. I have
I have Ramona
yes,
up here. Wait. I'm not
yeah.
even sharing my screen. Ramona's running for she's actually from Save Section 9. She might be my activist of the year. I need to actually share my screen over here. Oh, okay. Sorry, yeah, okay.
I see it.
Yeah, I have to
Okay.
share it for my audience though, because I'm streaming this. Oh damn, alright, so look, oh you're on the far left right here. Okay, Eric is I know
Yeah,
Eric.
yeah,
It's real cool.
yeah,
I think I have just seen Tom. I
yeah.
don't really
Eric
know him
is
that
a
well.
fantastic person. Yeah,
Yeah, yo,
and then
Eric's my
there's
boy. Yeah, Eric's been around for a long
yeah,
time. Yeah. Actually, here's just the
yeah.
interesting. Okay, so Eric had his own thing called like Liberty Coalition or something, right? Remember that?
Yes,
Yeah.
yes, yeah. He kept. He was a very important part of our having a venue to meet.
Yeah, Union
We met
Square,
in
Ukrainian restaurant. Yeah, I remember all that, man.
yeah, the Ukrainian restaurant in on East Ninth Street
Yeah.
on Second Avenue.
I
That
would have done
was
more
a
stuff with
place
Steve,
where
but I ended up beefing with Steve. But I'm not mad at Steve. Steve's cool, but you know, he's a hustler. But I had a bump in with him. But yeah, Eric's my boy though for 100%. Love that guy. Yeah, I love everybody here. Tell you the truth.
he's very
Arcadius, yeah.
open. He has his own strong views about what should be done, but he's very open to listening to other people. And
Eric.
Eric, yeah,
Yeah. Oh,
Eric,
he's the man. He's the man. He's been around for
ERIC,
years.
Eric.
He's an OG in the game. You know what I mean?
Yeah, he's like an elder statesman of activism
Yeah.
and of involvement, and
I'd love
it's
to see him
very
Albany. He would
admirable.
just be so much more entertaining. He'll go off on him every day. Yo, if they let him get in there, yo, it'll be wild. That'll be great. Anyways, yeah. So, Arcadius, you know Arcadius?
Yes, Tomaszewski, Arik, we call him Arek, Arik.
Okay.
He was a huge inspiration because he's running for state assembly in Brooklyn, and when he was petitioning, it was before anybody else. Almost there was one other candidate in Queens who was petitioning and had help from various places. But Eric was a solo individual mostly. He did get help from the founder of the Medical Freedom Party, whose name is Steve Spear. But he and Steve together, and Eric particular standing up as a candidate, would get an astounding number of signatures. I think they broke records. They would get a couple of hundred in a day. And I had been out collecting signatures among parents, and I thought I was good if I got 20 or 30. But he and Steve working together would sometimes get in the hundreds in a single day. And I think he got enough signatures to get on the ballot in a week because he was,
You guys
he
needed
was,
1,200, right?
yes, something like
Yeah.
nominally you need 1,200. Yes.
Yeah. Cool. So, so he's just a hard worker. That's good, man. What
Oh,
about? Yeah.
he was out there, and he a lot. Some people. I hope I can share this without any bias. I mean, some people said, "Well, I can't understand the way he speaks," because he's Polish background and he has an accent, but
Yeah.
he obviously got his point across
I'd love to
very
have him on my
well
channel.
just
Yeah. If
by
you
his.
would talk to him, any of these guys, come on channel.
Well,
That'd be cool. Yeah.
that would be excellent. Yes,
Let's do
yeah,
actually.
because he.
You know, I would love to host for you guys. I did the only third-party independent candidate forums. All right, yeah. I like to have.
That would be great.
Let's actually
Oh
get
yeah,
all you guys on together at the same time for a panel discussion. You know what I mean?
that would be something because I
That
don't
would be
think
the
it's ever
best.
happened.
I have to apologize to Steve then because I gave Steve a hard time. But anyways, yeah. But I would love you guys, yeah, to have come on my channel. We should do it all at the same time. Anyways, yeah. So look,
That would be
Arcadius is
great.
cool. What about Tom? You know Tom?
I don't know him personally. I've met him. He's more of a traditional
Republican.
campaigner. He's
Yes.
a Republican member of the Republican Party, but he has been endorsed by the Medical Freedom Party, and we work closely together campaigning. I believe he's a veteran, and I think if you would I mean, he's been involved in other campaigns, and he's never given up.
You know who he's
So
running
he's
against?
um,
You know the
which
competition?
it's
Grace
in
May.
Queens. It's in
Grace May.
Queens.
Grace May.
Grace Meng. Yes, that's right.
Vice
I
chair
should
of the
know that.
DNC.
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah, I'm
yeah.
telling you, but Grace May is no good, man, for real.
They've
Yeah.
invited her to a debate, but they haven't
Yeah,
heard
she's
her.
scared. Yo, honestly, Schumer also. Did you know Schumer's running for Senate?
Yes, I do.
Because honestly, you couldn't tell from like, if you look on YouTube and type in like Schumer campaign, it's same thing for Grace May. You don't even know she's running, right? Yeah. They should
And I
have a debate.
remember,
This is
yeah,
not
I remember.
democracy. This is ridiculous.
Hmm. Right, right. I haven't heard from my candidate either. My opponent
This is
in on the
ridiculous.
west side, although this district has never been, combined in this way. So he's an incumbent, but he's only incumbent in the sense that he was a state senator in what became the 47th district, but used to be up in Rome, New York. The number used to be, they moved the number down to New York, and they changed the territory of the district.
Yep, I've been
So
getting at
he's
this
only
Mayo guy, but because he's Asian
Mayo.
American.
Danny Mayo is our
But he never get back to me, man. I want to have an interview. Yeah, for real. He's the Asian American. That's very rare. It's like,
yes,
what is this guy
yes.
doing? I mean, that's cool though.
Well, he's running. I should know who he's running against.
Schumer.
But yeah, Schumer.
I got another
No, he's
candidate
not
coming on
running against
today.
Schumer.
Thomas
No,
Kleiter from the Libertarian Party. He's
yeah.
going to be on my
No,
channel.
Danny
2 o'clock.
Mayo is not running against Schumer. He's running against another.
He's
He's
running for
running
New
for
York State Senate, not for federal
state Senate. Yeah,
Okay,
Diane
my bad.
Sayre is running
For federal Senate. Yeah.
Yeah.
Diane Sayre
Who's
is
he
for the
running
vaccine
against?
or against?
Pardon me?
Diane Sayre is for the vaccine or against the vaccine? She's against the vaccine, right? Sarah
Diane Sayre?
Yeah.
I don't know. You'd have to ask her. I
Is.
think she's works. I would hope. I don't know.
I hope
I
so.
can't speak for her. Yeah.
Well, maybe I'll talk to her one of these things. We'll see.
But
Anyways.
our party is against the vaccine. But or our party, or I should say, or they tell me not to use the word our party because we have such diversity, even within our candidates and then within our medical freedom group and the Medical Freedom Alliance. But I am against this vaccine. I'm not totally against vaccines because I'm not as knowledgeable to say that about that as. So I won't say it. I'm not, and we say to people, if you want to get the vaccine, okay, go to Northwell Health. They service it, but I'm not recommending it, and I don't believe there should be a mandate for a vaccine. I think we got to get to that stage first, and then we see how many people really want the vaccine without all the propaganda and all the fear. And I think it's going to be fewer and fewer, my opinion. I know I used to take the flu vaccine every year, and I felt proud of myself. I did it for the team because people told me, the media told me, you're over a certain age, and if you get sick, it could be catastrophic. So I thought, and I don't want to be a catastrophe on somebody's watch, on somebody's hand, for my wife or my friends or anybody. I don't want to do that. So I used to take it. But since I've seen how they propagandize on the COVID vaccine and now on the flu vaccine and the monkeypox, and there's a long list, I'm very much more prone to rely on my immune system. And without digressing too much, I will say that at the beginning of the pandemic, when I was stuck at home, I decided to follow Upton Sinclair's advice and try fasting. He wrote a book about fasting. It's one of his multiple number of books that he wrote, and he also wrote the book that created the FDA called The Jungle, which was the publicity to create the FDA. He wrote a book on fasting, and I decided to try it. And after I did that, I was very much predisposed to rely mainly on my immune system with some help from natural, natural remedies. I didn't take the flu shot this year for the last couple of years, and I don't feel that I feel that I did the right thing. I don't feel that I occasionally get a cold, but I get over it.
Cool, man. All right. So, how'd you guys meet each other at different like medical freedom rallies and stuff?
Well, some let
'Cause I
me
don't really
let me
remember
look.
seeing like some of these people at. Some of them were there, but I would have noticed Danny Mayo.
Oh, Danny is he's uh, been to the Medical Freedom Alliance, but he has a separate style, a different style, and he's not he's very busy uh, in his own with his. I don't know. He doesn't. He's not a meeting attender. Some people don't like to attend meetings. He's not a meeting goer, whatever. So we didn't see him often there, but I did meet him when we were talking about various, possibly running, influencing the Republican Party to become more grassroots. I met him, was at his home once. And since then, I've met him several times in campaign related events or campaign related meetings. And he's very, he has more knowledge about how political campaigns are run than I think anybody in our group in terms of all
Really?
the technical, yeah, all the
What about
technical
Steve?
stuff.
Steve's pretty good too, right?
Steve
Spear?
Spear, yeah, he's a unique individual. He is more than any other person responsible for the creation of the Medical Freedom Party. He sort of conceived it. He he helped it find its voice and helped it find its visual representations in terms of he's a designer and he's a writer, a designer. He's a creative individual. You might say he's something of a spiritualist, a philosopher, and so on. And but he was a very strong motivator. He and Eric, Arek, Tomaszewski, would spend a day in Prospect Park and come down with a couple of hundred signatures or close to it in a day, maybe with a couple of other people. Um,
Good.
so he's extreme. He's an extremely hard worker, and I think he needs to get a little more rest at this point, so that he can come back and because he had apparently he had the flu for a day or two, recently.
Yeah, it happens. Oh well.
That can happen definitely.
But yes, it's the end. It's the end run, bro. Time for November, man. You know what I mean? And
So
yeah. So do you have your own?
Martha is another candidate we have, and Sean Lally are two other candidates.
Oh
And
yeah, tell
very,
me about him. Yeah, yeah. Sean's like a young one. I met him by the.
yeah, Sean's the youngest candidate. He is still in college and working part time, so I don't know how he's uh, taking getting everything in. He's about 20, I think 23 years old, and he was actually our first candidate. Actually, he was running as both Medical Freedom and Republican Party. So
Was he the first to
he's
get his
really,
paperwork in? You mean? He was the
yeah,
first one
he
to get his
was a
prescription done.
bellwether. I mean, he was a pioneer for us in that way.
Cool. Good job, buddy.
Yeah,
What about Martha?
and he helped me set up my website. I have to thank him for that. He's got as somebody his age, is more technical acumen than I have myself. So Martha is probably our most appealing candidate. She's the only woman, and she's also the very has a lot of experience. I believe she was in the Green Party for a long time, and she was also involved in the school outreach to some at times to some extent, uh, and she helped with that a lot. She is very articulate and very strong on how medical freedom, very perceptive on how medical freedom relates to a lot of the other issues that are uh, that people like to bring up. But we don't like to uh, be a party that is just a hodgepodge, a laundry list of different issues. We don't really, we feel that our principle of medical freedom carries us into issues in a way that that will be more meaningful, mainly, to get us elected so that we can uh, do have normal people, normal in the good sense of balanced and they used to say, all around education, was an ideal, and that's I
I'd
think
love to
our
talk to
ideal
Martha.
too.
Yeah, I actually was also doing for a long time, so probably have a
Uh-huh.
lot of similarities. It'd be cool to get her on the channel. Yeah, awesome.
Yeah, yeah. She's very personable too, and very strong uh, on her advocacy of reaching out and getting. Our current campaign is to get, and she's spearheading it, is to get the health department in New York City to open up and actually listen to testimony and answer questions, because they've become a star chamber. I don't know what the word is. A very secretive organization. They don't publish. They haven't been publicizing their meetings, and they haven't been, when the rest of the world seems to be opening up into in-person meetings. They are still meeting solely on Zoom, and not even having participation of the public in their Zoom meetings to ask questions or make statements.
Yeah, they
So
always be
she's
turning on some kind of like audio glitching and stuff too. They try to drive people away and stuff. It's really sad. Happens
yeah,
all the
yeah,
time. Yeah.
yeah. Zoom is great because I wouldn't be here if I, was totally against Zoom. But it has its function. But there's the Medical Freedom Party has been meeting for 2 years or 3 years in person every Sunday at 122 East 83rd Street, and without masks and without vaccines for most of the people. We don't exclude anybody who's had a vaccine, obviously, and nobody has died that I'm aware of. And we have 40 or 50 people a week every Sunday, and no more people. I don't have statistics on this, but no more people seem to be getting sick there than anywhere else. So,
Is Steve from the Staten Island, by the way?
it was Steve from Staten Island.
Yeah.
Is he running? No, he's running in Brooklyn.
Oh, that's cool.
He's
Okay.
he lives in he's from Queens, and he's running in congressional 10 against Goldman, I think his name is, the Democrat.
That's cool. Well, best of luck to all of y'all. Who do you think has the best shot of winning?
Uh, well, I wish it could be me, but it's not me. It's I think Danny Mayo or
Okay.
Sean
Senate?
Lawley in
Oh, New York
Queens
State
have the
Senate.
best.
Okay. Interesting.
State
Yeah.
Senate, yes.
Right, okay.
And what we said is, in the beginning was, and what Steve said, and Steve's been very much on point, his opinions have held up. He said, if we could get one person on the ballot, we would be very happy, because we didn't know going into this how to get signatures, how
Yeah.
many we could get, how we would pass muster.
Right.
And we were, as I said, there was no more shocked group of people than us that we got 8 people on the ballot. But
Imagine you get
we
2 or 3
really,
people into office. That would be crazy,
yeah,
right?
yeah,
It happened.
that would be, yes, it would be.
Go for the
It would
ride,
be
bro.
totally crazy, and I hope they would pick it up somewhere.
Go for the ride, man. So people know where they contact you. Hey, let's take a look at your website as well. You said you have one as well, right? What's your website?
Yes, yes,
What is that?
it's Bob, Bob 4 spelled FOR,
NewYork.com.
and at bob4ny.com.
Okay,
Yeah.
cool. I'm still sharing the screen. I think this is your website right here.
Thank
We're
you.
gonna
Thank you.
actually
That's
contact
it.
you
That's it. It's in English and Spanish.
too. Okay, cool. Oh yeah, okay, I see over here. Yeah,
There's
we
a
go
Spanish
Spanish.
button
Okay,
to
right.
call,
Yeah.
and it
Yeah.
has a lot. I would refer people to the school outreach section. It tells you about the Success Academy campaign.
That's a pretty
Well, there
cool
were so many
project, man.
people who, yeah, so many
Yeah.
people who paid. But parents too should be given a shout out. All the parents who struggled so hard, who signed the petition. Several of them went to a board meeting uh, when they had a board meeting, and that I think might have tipped might have been one of the actions that tipped the balance and made the board decide to end their mandates for the coming year. And especially a parent on the Upper West Side Success Academy who started the petitioning needs to mention too. Bill White, he started the petitioning when he for the all the Success Academy schools and convinced us that it would be a good strategy to go and petition at the Success Academy schools rather than try to take on the whole New York uh, school system at once. He's a parent of two daughters at Success Academy, and wasn't getting anywhere to end these vaccine mandates from his principal. Really, we were campaigning on a very just to step
Well,
for them to
I know
stop.
the Dems are trying to kill charter schools straight up. They're trying to get rid of them. So
Oh,
that's a fight that's going on. But that's actually quite
yeah,
compelling case for charter schools right there.
yeah,
So we're gonna
yeah,
see what's up
yeah.
with that those political people there.
Yes,
Yeah, I think it's
yes.
coming up.
The
So
parents like the school in many ways. Many of them do, but they don't like the some of the regimentation, um,
I think you have to give
and
people
they didn't
choices.
like
Yeah.
the mandates. Definitely, they didn't like that.
You have to give people choices. That's what's up. All right, that's cool, man. So they got the contact information. They know how to get at you and all that. You got it. What's coming up in the future besides Steve Marshall's thing? Oh, we're gonna set up maybe that interview with the team. Yeah, that would be cool.
Yeah, oh yeah, yeah.
I'm surprised
I
other
think.
people aren't featuring y'all. Y'all are making history right here. You know what I mean? Yeah.
Well,
No,
we would like to. We want to
have you reached
make
out to
good
other
history.
Have you reached out to other YouTubers or other shows about appearing on their show? Have
I was on the Jane Hansen interview. Do you know her? She does a podcast of candidates.
Have you heard this
Uh,
this girl called the Tara Polish American Brotherhood?
um, Tara? No,
Yeah.
I don't.
You could look at a Polish American Brotherhood there on YouTube. I know she's covered a lot of medical freedom stuff.
Oh,
She'll
okay.
probably have you guys on her channel, yeah. But you guys should definitely come on my channel as well. She'll get you a ton more views, but I ain't mad, you know what I mean? Tara,
I would hope
Polish
so.
American Brother,
Yeah.
check her out. Yeah, she looks great, yeah. Cool.
Brotherhood. Let me just
Polish
write this
American
down.
Brotherhood.
Yeah.
Yeah, it sounds
Tara,
weird,
T
right?
E
Yeah.
R R A.
Tara. Tara.
Yeah, Tera, whatever.
Tara. Don't worry, we can't miss her. Yeah, Polish American Brotherhood.
Well, I'll
You'll
try.
see this stuff.
Yeah. I'll ask Eric if.
Yeah, ask Eric. Eric should know about her. Tom definitely knows about her. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
Tom's been on her channel. Tom's been on my channel. Yeah. I'll send you some videos of some fun stuff that I do.
Okay, great.
Stuff. Yeah.
I would like to have them.
Cool.
Yeah.
All right. I guess that's it, man. Any last words that you have for my viewers?
Uh, yes. I want people to get out and vote. You know, and participate in the political system. We're not against. We're not outside the political system. We've so I wish everybody uh, a good luck on election day and come out and vote for the Medical Freedom Party, and then work with us going into the future. I think we can do it together.
Yeah. We're actually collecting the voter data, so that's we're gonna run a whole. If we ran this many candidates in this cycle, we're gonna run a whole bunch for city council, everything, just run them like crazy. You know what I mean? Yeah.
Okay,
Good
I'm
time,
looking
man.
forward to that.
Make those
Yeah,
changes
after I
happen.
take a short vacation, maybe. But
I feel you, man. I feel you.
I don't know how that.
I
I
know
don't even
it's a
know.
struggle. We'll take a break at Steve Marshall's, man. We'll see. Yeah, maybe I'll come out
Okay,
there. Yeah, I've been
okay.
kind of crazy,
Yeah.
but that sounds like a good time. Yeah, let's do that. All right, come on. Stitch. That's what's up.